Pre-tests, Doc.
Pre-test. But
Yes po.
the lectures, tapos na din.
For cellular physiology, yes po, Doc.
Sige. So the topic assigned to me is on membrane physiology, yung nerve and muscle. And then yung new topic is the exercise and sports physiology. But meron tayong allotted na, I think, two, 2 to 3 sessions, no? So, hindi naman natin ubusin lahat yung time today. For today, we'll only focus on the membrane physiology na topic. So that we can finish early and then you can do your other stuff na. This afternoon, what will be your class sa pag
Biochem po, Doc.
biochem online pa rin, no?
Yes po.
So every Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, online kay lahat.
Opo, Doc. But depends on the request sa doctor kasi may instances po before na may request na mag-lab kami for histology which is face-to-face but di na natuloy in a sense.
Okay.
Opo.
So are you okay with this setup? Na kayo yung mga ano no, COVID batch? Tama ba? Naabutan nyo ba yung COVID
Yes,
period
Doc.
na online lahat?
Opo.
Okay. So medyo naka-adapt na kayo, no? Sige. Hmm. Just ma-view nyo yung slide ko na, no? First slide. Yung topic title natin for today.
Yes po, Doc.
Sige. Lang. Okay. Sige. Let's start. 8 a.m. For today, we will be discussing about the membrane physiology. So yung sa topic ni Dr. Giliano is about cellular physiology. So you are discussing on the different, I think parts of the cell, di ba? Yung mga nucleus, nuclear membrane, the ribosomes, mitochondria, and then the mga ano yung mga parts of the cell. So I think you are already familiar with that dun sa pre-med nyo na course. Even though hindi, kahit doon during your senior high school or high school, alam naman natin lahat about what is cell. As well as doon sa topic natin sa membrane physiology, I believe na meron din kayong topic on diffusion and active transport system in a lipid bilayer. So I presume no, hindi naman to new yung topic na ito sa inyo, but now we'll just be focusing on yung mga clinical aspects of our topic on membrane physiology and ano yung mga hina-highlight when we'll discussing membrane physiology in relation to biomedical studies or yung in relation to human physiology. So ito lang yung objectives natin for this morning. So a very short lecture so that you can have more time to read and comprehend the topic. So my reference for my lecture is from the Guyton. So are you using the Guyton and Hall Medical Physiology or do you have other resources?
Gaytan din news namin, Doc, as
Guyton
informed by
doon, no?
Doc Frank ba?
So since online tayo and we have limited interaction, mas traditionally pag face to face we have reporting then no na reporting by group and then all of the members will be able to report and talk in front of the class But because of our teaching modality na online, so mas maganda siguro para interactive at hindi masyado boring mag oral recitation tayo and then we will call randomly so that attentive lahat ng students, no? And to humanize our interaction kaysa ako lang yung always nagsasalita and then ano na din, no? Hindi na interactive, hindi na um, parang wala na interaction with you. So our outline is the transport of substances through cell membranes, diffusion, and active transport. And then under the diffusion, okay, meron naman to sa Guyton textbook through the cell membranes, through the protein pores and channels, and the facilitated diffusion through membrane carrier proteins. And in the active transport, yung primary active transport, secondary active transport, and through cellular sheets. So in this topic, yung idea natin sa cellular physiology, parang we just focus there on yung cell mismo, and then dito parang nag-level up na konti yung interaction ng dalawang cells, no? How they interact, communicate, and how yung from the word diffusion, ano yung mga process na nangyayari when they interact with one another, different cells into different organ system. Okay? But this topic is just a general topic. Now we have different, when we go to the different, like in the gastrointestinal physiology, sa neurophysiology, sa renal physiology, meron din silang mga specific or specialized transport mechanism that will be dealing when you go to that specific chapter. So ito lang is a general concept of diffusion and active transport. In our body, no, we have the extracellular fluid sa labas ng cell and the intracellular fluid sa loob ng cell. Okay? And then try to look at the chemical composition of the first, doon na lang tayo muna sa loob ng cell. Okay? So try to grasp, although it's in the textbook, we have the sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chloride, bicarbonate, phosphate, sulfate, glucose, amino acid, your lipids, no, composing of your cholesterol, phospholipid, neutral fat, and then your other components, your oxygen, carbon dioxide, the acid, and the protein. So now let's start our recitation. Let's call on John Mark Tarosa. So what can you observe in the intracellular fluid? Or can you give me a comment on the intracellular fluid comparing to the extracellular fluid?
Looking sa sa provided, sir, ang main na cation sa intracellular fluid is potassium, and sa extra is the sodium po.
Okay. So that's important, no? In is the sodium, asin, no? In Bisaya pa asin. And then outside is the the sodium. Sorry, the intracellular is the potassium and the extracellular is the sodium. Sige. Okay. What else, no? What else can you observe from those, ano? How about Sweet Christine Lahot?
Good morning, Doc.
Morning.
Ano po, Doc, yung amount po for for example po sa sodium nila is higher po in extracellular fluid rather than in intracellular fluid. And for potassium din po, it's directly proportional din po. Mas higher yung sa intracellular fluid rather than in extracellular fluid po. The same po sa sa extracellular fluid, yung large amount po nila is sa sodium and small lang yung sa potassium po. ang main components in extracellular fluid is sodium and yung chloride ions po. Tapos sa intracellular fluid is yung potassium tsaka yung phosphate at proteins po.
Okay, thank you, Sweet, for your observation and comments. Can you comment on the lipid? Si Kian Tan, yung sa cholesterol, phospholipid, and neutral fat, why do you think is the intracellular fluid more abundant yung lipid compared to the extracellular fluid?
I think, Doc, mas abundant ang cholesterol, phospholipids, and neutral fats inside the cells because these substances compose somewhat the structure of the cell. For example, po, the phospholipid bilayer, which composes the cell membrane or of the cell, and also cholesterol and some of the fats contribute to the structure of a cell po.
Okay, that's correct na because the cell per se has a lipid bilayer. Okay? So yung composition ng lipid bilayer is mostly composed of cholesterol, phospholipid, neutral fat, and water din, di ba? So I think na-discuss niyo yan sa cellular physiology. So can you see yung red line dito, ito na yung demarcation between inside the cell, outside the cell. And then yung di-discuss natin is about the diffusion and active transport. Kung ano yung nangyayari dito sa red layer na to, no? Yan, kung ano yung mga processes involving there, the general concepts of diffusion and active transport. Kasi yung mga different minerals, substances, or cations, mga electrolytes will be passing through the cell, but merong systematic process of how these substances will be transported inside and outside the cell. So that's the gist of our discussion for today. So this one is not from Gayton, it's from boron, no? So ano din kayo ng boron physiology? Nagagamit din kayo ng boron. Although some medical schools are using boron na physiology sa DMSF daw, no? Same concepts being stated here, that the fluid compartment of a typical, for example, a 70-kilogram male. So we have the intracellular fluid, interstitial fluid, the blood plasma, transcellular fluid such as the synovial fluid. So just look at the image. So bilikan natin yung sa intracellular, di ba? Si potassium, abundant yung potassium, which is there. And then yung sa extracellular fluid na divide pa na further into two compartments, yung interstitial and the blood plasma. Okay. So blood plasma comprising of 3 liters, and then the interstitial fluid about 13 liters. The intracellular fluid is about 25 liters. So this is in a normal adult. And then at the extracellular fluid, yun pa rin, no? Abundant pa rin yung sodium. Here is the plasma membrane and the different components. So yung clinical correlation to this is that clinical significance, okay? So yung blood plasma 3 liters. So what happens to, ano pala yung mangyayari pag yung patient, like we have patient na trauma patient, stab wound, gunshot wound, okay? So what do you think happens to a patient with a stab wound or accident sa vehicular accident? Anong mangyayari sa patient na yun? Okay, Kate Galientes. What do you think happens to a patient who is in severe blood loss?
Opo, Doc.
What did your observation pag mayroong patient like na stab wound or na gunshot wound and then oozing yung blood from the site of the injury? So what do you expect to happen to that patient?
Mag-decrease ang blood pressure ba, Doc?
Yes, correct.
Tapos, from what I've read, Doc, kay if mag-surpass to 2 liters ang blood loss sa isa ka patient kay more chances siya of death ang fatality rate niya because of decrease in blood pressure and ang pag-pump sa heart ng blood is ay parang hindi na enough yung gina-supply ng heart na blood to other body. So, ay parang ganun, Doc. Sorry.
Tama naman, so that's correct naman. So when there's an injury like stab wound, gunshot wound, vehicular accident sa street, so we expect a lot of blood oozing from the site, di ba? So pag ma-exceed na niya yung blood, for example, like sobra-sobra na, so we expect patients like for example, mga 2.5 liters na yung na-loss ng blood. So we expect compensatory mechanism of our body like mag-decrease na ang blood pressure, patient becomes tachycardic, and decreased level of sensorium because of the hypovolemic shock already. Because nga, in a normal adult, dapat mga nasa 3 liters lang yung blood plasma for a proper physiologic conditioning of our body or functioning. So pag something na went wrong or nagkaroon ng pathologic processes, so there will be an imbalance, no? Because of the loss of the volume of the blood. Same is true then. So mga patients na nagkaroon ng mga LBM. So what happens during LBM? Kalibanga ang patient, diarrhea. So there will be massive gastrointestinal losses, no? So all fluids go out through the rectum, ilibang niya, or some patients would vomit. So what happens to the interstitial fluid? Mag-decrease din, no? So you remember that the interstitial fluid approximately mga 13 liters yan siya. So pag mga patients na like more than 10 times na nag-LBM or 20 times na nagkalibanga, so we expect them to have a hypovolemic shock naman, no? From GI loss. So as a doctor, we will resuscitate, di ba? Fluid resuscitation is the key. That's why kung ma-observe nyo, kung meron kayong mga clinical rotations before, meron naga-fast drip, no? Fast drip ng IV fluids para habulin yung fluid na na-loss. So usually emergency room, nag-fast drip tayo ng mga 2 to 3 liters if in severe dehydration yung mga patients, yung AGE, acute gastrointestinal gastroenteritis with severe dehydration, we fast drip fluids. Pag hindi pa rin, mag-add tayo ng mga inotropic agents like Diurnal or Philippine drip para to pull up the blood pressure of that patient. So this is a nice diagram or illustration for you to have a estimation lang kung ano yung mga fluids na dapat nating i-maintain in a normal, healthy, physiologic human being. Anything that nagiging pathologic na siya if magkaroon ng imbalance. Pathology, diba, in the first chapter or para in the preface, there's a term that in physiology is to maintain the equilibrium, to maintain the homeostasis of the body. So anything here in the description kung karoon ng decreased blood plasma, decreased interstitial fluid, karoon ng mga compensatory mechanism. Okay, diffusion. Sige. So I think you already read this one. So can you please tell us yeah, what did you understand about diffusion? So, can you please tell us anything about diffusion based on your understanding?
Doc, sino po yung tinawag mo, Doc? Nag-freeze
Sorry,
ako.
nawala internet si Sofia Amor.
Okay, hi Doc, good morning po. So from what I've read po, diffusion is the random molecular movement driven by the kinetic energy, the normal kinetic energy. And diffusion includes simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. So when we say simple diffusion, the diffusion is directly through the lipid bilayer or open channels without carrier interaction. And when we say facilitated diffusion, it requires a carrier protein or specific protein channel, Doc.
Okay. Let's compare that to the active transport. Ano naman yung active transport based on your understanding?
So, for
Let's
active,
call another student para interactive tayo. Thank you, Sophia. Si ano naman, no? Si Ezekiel Lorenzo.
Hello, Doc. Good morning po. May audible po, Doc.
Yes.
So, sa active transport naman po, kaibahan niya sa diffusion is it uses carrier din, pero ang kaibahan niya is from a low gradient na concentration, papunta yung molecule sa high gradient concentration. So, because of this difference sa concentration, kailangan niyang gumamit ng uh, ATP to perform the transport po.
Okay, so thank you. So very well explained naman ng dalawang students natin. So diffusion simply means parang spontaneously. From the word diffuse, di ba? Or try to think of like diffuser, di ba? Kung sa mga offices, sa mga homes, meron tayong mga diffuser. So what happens to that diffuser, air diffuser? Or parang may scent and then it diffuses the scent within the room. Parang walang just spontaneously, di ba? Diffuses the scent in the room. Walang other mechanism to transport the scent within the room. So the energy there is just a normal kinetic motion of matter because it just flows through the air, yung scent or yung through the vapor, right? Pero kung sa active transport naman from the word active, so meaning there is an energy that is being required for the substances, the ions, the electrolytes to be transported to the cell. So I think madali naman siya intindihin, no, based on this definition. So I don't need to further describe this kasi nasa next slide naman yung ibang components of this two entities. Like for this one in the diagram, so mas maintindihan natin through this picture, di ba? Yan. Sige. Let's try to check if naintindihan ba yung illustration natin. Just comparing the two based on the illustration for us to have a better grasp of the two concepts. Let's call on Rosette Dinalo. Can you please, just what can you observe with this illustration so that we can have an understanding of the diffusion and active transport based on this picture? Yes. Okay, no? So very simple. Yung explanation and very simple to understand. Pag simple diffusion, it just passes through. In short, walang kahirap-hirap lang, no? Diretso lang siya. Walang channel, walang pores, walang gate, voltage gated ion channel. Parang VIP siya ba, no? Kung pupunta kayo ng mga Universal Studio Disneyland, parang nasa VIP lane lang ka, no? Simple diffusion, makapass dayon ka sa entrance. Pag facilitated diffusion, kung naka-VIP yung simple diffusion, yung facilitated diffusion is, ano ba, para naka-exclusive promo yung pasyente or yung tao kasi makapass pa rin siya pero merong maghatid sa kanya, no? Parang exclusive member lang siya, hindi siya VIP. Pag active transport naman, parang ordinary lang na kliyente or yung parang ordinary lang na bumili lang ng ticket doon sa counter ng Universal Studio wherein kailangan ka pang bumayad, pumila ng ticket doon sa counter sa labas at pumila ng mahaba. So ganun yung concept on diffusion and active transport. So sa diffusion, madali lang. Sa active transport, kailangan pa ng ihatid. Kailangan pa may magbukas ng pinto, magbukas ng gate, mag-accept ng mayroon pang mag-welcome sa ion or electrolytes ba or nutrients na magpasok sa cell for them to get out and to get in of the cell. Sa diffusion, since there is a random motion of flow of the substances and there is just a normal kinetic energy, all molecules and ions in the body fluids, including water molecule, dissolved substances are in constant motion with each particle moving in separate ways. So parang pag pass niya, so kahit saan-saan na lang siya pupunta, no? The motion of these particles is what physics is called heat. Okay? The greater the motion, the higher the temperature, and the motion never ceases except at absolute zero temperature. So ito naman is an example of a diffusion of a fluid molecule during 1,000ths of a second. Kung mayroon tayong laboratory, you can experience yung or observe yung sa diffusion like merong water and then you drop parang dropper with an ink. Then the ink diffuses easily or smoothly through the water, di ba? Parang ganun, diffusion siya. Ito naman is yung diffusion through the cell membrane, okay? So simple diffusion without the helper protein and then yung sa facilitated diffusion with the helper protein. Yung helper protein, pwede pa siyang magkaroon ng channel protein and then yung carrier protein. So yung channel protein is dun lang siya sa may, it's either on the outside, nakabantay, or yung sa inner side. But yung carrier protein is papasok siya sa cell and then merong hahatid sa kanya going inside the cell. Yung channel protein, doon lang siya sa may entrance and exit. But yung carrier protein, ihatid pa siya paloob ng cell. Ito, no? So, diffusion through protein pores and channels. Sige. Since na, I think parang pabalik-balik na lang mo yung concepts dito. Ano lang natin intindihin, for comprehension na lang siya, no? So, let's call sila kanina, ano na naman ngayon, no? Si Francis Lloyd Hugo. Sige.
Hello.
What can you understand from this image?
Madunggan ba ko, Dok?
Yes.
Okay, wait lang po. So, based on my understanding, Doc, based on the diagram alone there is a sodium ion and potassium ion, and then it shows that there is a closed gate and an open gate. and there are protein channels that are selectively permeable to certain substances, and in this case, it is selectively permeable to sodium ion and the potassium ion though.
Okay, so thank you for your observation. So there, tama naman. So as you can see there, merong sodium, di ba? Sa extracellular fluid. Tapos potassium sa intracellular fluid. Para makapasok si outside sodium, kailangan ma-open. Hindi makapasok si sodium kasi close yung gate. Hindi siya makapasok sa cell. So kailangan niyang pumasok sa cell, kailangan ma-open yung gate. Okay? So that it can diffuse inside the cell membrane. Yan sa first picture. So pag open naman ng gate, kapasok siya very smoothly lang, no? Because it's a diffusion, nasa diffusion pa naman tayo. But pagalabas naman yung potassium, same din, no? Naka-close yung gate and then open paglabas siya. So yung tinatawag natin ng voltage gated channel, merong mga electrical signals. So as you can see there. So yung may mga negative charge, those are voltage gated channels. Yung pag merong mga ligand gated channels, or yung iba ligand, but ligand for me, so parang meron siyang mga chemical proteins. So, no? So this is from boron, but the same concepts naman. So, but meron tayong pore or non-gated channel, pores kung saan mag-transport, magdi-diffuse sa saan dadaan, no? From for example, the sodium going inside. And then yung sa gated, so kung in principle parang meron siyang gate or may nakatakip muna, no? So pag papasok siya, yung sodium going to the in, mag-open yung channel. So usually, may mga different charges yan, yung sodium and potassium. Okay, ito naman. So this is from Guyton. Who can tell us yung yung naintindihan nyo na concept on this, no? So try to look first on the X and the Y-axis, the concentration of the substance, and then the rate of diffusion. Sige. What can you observe on this diagram? Si Maria Regalado. Si Sophia more volunteer. Okay. Si Sophia na lang nag-volunteer.
Based on the diagram, on the rate of chemical diffusion increases proportionately with the substance concentration. But when it comes to the facilitated diffusion, it reaches a maximum rate due to the limited speed for carrier proteins and forming small changes. So when we say simple diffusion, it's just the passage of substances to the visible layer without any resistance. But when facilitated diffusion, it depends on the carriers or the receptors that allow the substances to pass through.
Yes, no? Tama naman. So, that's correct, no? Thank you for your observation. Okay. So, as you can see here, the higher concentration of substances will be transported in simple diffusion, di ba? Kasi nga of the kinetic energy na undisturbed or wala masyadong na-obstruct sa kanya as comparing to the facilitated diffusion na meron pang dadaanan na channel, may mga pores pa, meron pang ATP that will be used and utilized in the transport mechanism. So that's the rate of diffusion, magle-lessen na din siya. So yan yung concept on the two versus the diffusion versus the active transport. And then that's why the effect of concentration of substance on the rate of diffusion through a membrane by simple diffusion, as you can see here. So the higher the rate of diffusion, then kung merong higher concentration of substances. Ito naman is actually the same lang naman to no, sa facilitated diffusion and yung kanina na diagram. This one, step by step, no? It's a step by step on the process, paano papasok yung substance from the outside going to the inside. Ito naman is applicable naman to all systems. Hindi naman siya specific kung saan siya applicable na organ system. Kasi this is a general theory. So let's think or observe here in the number 1. For example, let's lay the foundation of the facilitated diffusion through carrier proteins or carrier-mediated diffusion. So step 1, so follow me. The carrier is open to the outside, okay? Yung dito. So this is from the ECF and the ICF. So sa ECF, nandito yung X. So yung goal niya is papasok sa loob, okay? And dito yung binding site. So papasok na yung X sa number 2, enters from the outside and binds at the binding site here in the middle. And then the outer gate closes. Ito. And X becomes occluded sa loob, still attached to its binding site. And then yung inner gate na naman yung open and with X still bound. And then the X exits and enters the inside of the cell. Yun na, pasok na siya. So once pasok na siya, yung dalawang gates, inner and outside, empties. Closes and then empties na sa loob. Para wala munang makapasok. So yan yung system ng facilitated diffusion with a carrier protein. Okay. So it's not na papasok lang sila lahat, no? So process pa rin siya from 1 to 6. But of course, it happens in a very fast reaction. Hindi naman siya parang done steps na 8 steps or 8 counts. So ito, very fast siya and happens spontaneously within our body. This is the factors that affect the net rate of diffusion. So when the net of diffusion rate is proportional to the concentration difference across a membrane, and itong equation, wag na lang to, no? Because we will not be computing naman for this one. Okay, have you come to know the term osmosis across selective permeable membrane? We will be having an exercise or laboratory exercise on osmosis pala, no? The first physiology laboratory exercise will be on this topic, the osmosis, diffusion, and active transport. Meron na kayong grouping sa physiology laboratory? Wala pa?
We had a grouping for the reporting under kay Doc Frank po, Doc.
Pero yan ba yung group nyo sa Physiolab? Or do you want another group? Or yun na?
How many members po pala need sa groupings, Doc?
Actually, it depends sa inyo, no? Ilan ba kayo lahat? 50?
54,
50.
Doc.
54. Ma'am, narito ba si Ma'am Chid? Ma'am Chid? Ma'am Chidilyn? $54. So ilang groups kayo sa reporting?
Ano po, Doc? 10 groups po.
10 groups. So are you okay with the 10 groups? Para same na lang, no? Para hindi na kayo ma-toxic, divide among yourselves. So yun na lang yung groupings nyo sa laboratory, Physio laboratory. So yung first exercise nyo will be on osmosis, but pwede naman kayong gumawa ng laboratory exercises for this kahit nasa bahay lang kayo, no? Kasi ano lang yun siya, parang potato lang and then i-soak sa water. Just coordinate with ma'am na lang Ma'am Ched. Paano siya, kasi yung workbook or worksheet, I think nasa kanya pa. So hingiin nyo lang yung worksheet on the first physiology laboratory exercise for this one so that you can have a better hands-on understanding on osmosis. So the concept of osmosis at a cell membrane when a sodium chloride solution is placed on one side of the membrane and water is placed on the other side. Okay. So for example, ito, no, merong water molecule and then it passes through a cell membrane and it goes to the sodium chloride solution. So ano yung clinical application of osmosis para mas maintindihan natin? Ano yung mga, like, yung makita nyo sa bahay ng mga appliances or gadget na merong osmosis, the application of osmosis. Can you think of? So that you can understand? Yung mga water purification process, di ba? Sa bahay natin. Water filtration. Or yung may mga, kung meron kayong, for example, water district sa bahay, then meron kinakabit na mga water filtration system. Yung concept of that is using osmosis. Yung iba reverse osmosis or yung mga sa mineral water natin. Yan yung sa practical application sa house. But kung mga medical application, yung mga nagadialysis patients, di ba? So meron yan silang filter na kinakabit doon sa machine. And the concept there is osmosis, no? Parang the blood will pass through first through that filter, through that membrane. So parang malinisan siya with the aid of different chemicals before going back to the body. So parang ganun yung concept of osmosis. So the next slide, like this. There's just a selectively permeable membrane. So the process of net movement of water caused by a concentration difference of the water. And then it demonstrates yung osmotic pressure caused by osmosis of semi-permeable membrane. Yung key word here is that there's a semi-permeable membrane and osmosis only happens pag nasa liquid state, no? So there's no osmosis pag air. There's no osmosis pag mga solid organs. The osmotic pressure exerted by particles in solution, whether they are molecules or ions, is determined by the number of particles per unit volume fluid, not by the mass of the particle. So for example, sa chamber A, like sa mga water filtration, sa dialysis, pag merong membrane na parang membrane na interface with the semi-permeable membrane, it goes to the next membrane. So parang ma-filter niya, nililinis. That's why we have different comparison versus the two. Kasi parang yung iba medyo ano pa, no? Parang confuse pa konti. So let's look at the process of diffusion and osmosis. So kung pag diffusion, the movement of solutes existing in a state of solid, liquid, or gas from a region of their higher concentration to the region of lower, but without a semi-permeable membrane. So ito lang yung parang difference nila, no? Kasi sa osmosis, kailangan na the movement of solvent, especially water lang kasi siya mostly applicable from the region of high solute to the region of the lower solute concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So you can see there in the picture, di ba? Ang kaibahan nila is merong semi-permeable membrane. So sa diffusion, pwede solid, pwede liquid gas. Sa osmosis, liquid. Pag material, solid, liquid gas sa diffusion. Sa osmosis, solvent. Sa molecules, depends on the size and electric charge of the molecules sa diffusion. Sa osmosis naman, depends on the particle concentration. And the concentration gradient sa diffusion moves along. No? moves along lang siya spontaneously without any interruption. So osmosis, there there will be chances na ma-interrupt yung concentration gradient movement because of the semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so I think it's clear naman, no? Sa semi-permeable membrane sa osmosis is always through the semi-permeable membrane or cell membrane. And then the rate of process, so faster sa diffusion, of course, no? Osmosis medyo slower kasi nga merong semi-permeable membrane. The free energy depends on the rate of reduction of the free energy of one solvent. So osmosis. So for example, sa diffusion, the scent of perfume filling a whole room within seconds is perceived through the nasal epithelium. So meron nag-spray ng nose, di ba? After just few seconds, maamoy nyo na. For example, mag-spray ka ng lotion, spray ng perfume. But on the osmosis, alam nyo, primary nutrients and minerals get transferred through osmosis into the cells. Human intestine absorbs nutrients and minerals through osmosis din, no? Ito is just nice to know because we will not be able to compute anymore for the osmolality and the osmolarity. Nice to know lang ito. Okay, let's go to the second concept, yung primary active transport. So tapos na tayo sa diffusion and osmosis. We have simple diffusion and facility diffusion. Now let's jump to the other concept. Yung sa active transport naman tayo. Sa primary active transport mechanism, the sodium-potassium pump transport. Let's call Mary Sumagang. Please tell us what can you see in this image?
So, good morning, Doc. So, ito po yung primary active transport, di ba, Doc? So, yung energy here is yung derive siya directly sa pag-breakdown ng ATP or yung mga other high energy nga phosphate compounds. Tapos here po, Doc, yung na-feature here yung sodium-potassium na pump in which na may na-pump siya na 3 sodium na out and 2 potassium naman nga napunta inside the cell for every na ATP na breakdown niya po. And here din po may carrier protein na may larger and may smaller nga subunit. And then ito po in here po naga-control po yung cell volume, and this is to prevent the cell from swelling and bursting. So ito gina-initiate yan yung osmosis of the water out of the cell. Ano po po? I think
Yes.
yun na po.
Okay. Another student, yung ano nangyari doon sa ATP, let's call Alejandro Villanueva. Just comment on the ATP lang, no? Yung sa diagram.
Hello, Doc. Am I audible po?
Yes.
So what happened to the ATP was it binds to the intracellular side and it is broken down into adenosine diphosphate po, Doc.
Yes.
Tapos Doc, yung released phosphate po, nag-release po siya ng phosphate which temporarily attached to the pump. That's all, Doc.
Yes, no. Tama. Thank you sa 2 students, no, who recited. So let's start na lang doon sa inside, no? Kasi kailangan, 'di ba, natin ipalabas yung sodium kasi parang yun yung territory niya sa labas dapat. So tingnan natin yung sa inside, 3 sodium. This is constant, I think, no? Constant na siya. 3 sodium, ion, 2 potassium. So before mapalabas yung sodium to the outside and yung potassium naman, dapat ibalik siya sa loob kasi yan yung lugar niya dapat, di ba? So it requires 3 sodium ions and 2 potassium ions to pass through to this sodium potassium pump transport with the aid of an energy. Kailangan para ma-transport yung mga ions in and out, kailangan nila ng energy because hindi kaya ng simple diffusion lang, no, na ma-transport yung mga substances. So it requires energy. That's why ATP, no, parang energy natin sa katawan natin. And then through the process, and then ma-exhaust yung energy nila. So the inside portion of this protein near the sodium potassium sites has adenosine ATPase activity, which aids in the transport. So parang yan yung concept ng primary active transport. Later, kasi meron akong video na mas ma-appreciate niyo siya, no? Kasi ito kasi parang one directional lang and dimensional lang siya. Mamaya, parang interactive yung video, mas maintindihan natin lalo. But try to grasp lang this concept lang muna for now. Yung secondary active transport is that meron tayong co-transport and counter-transport, especially for the transport of your glucose. No? So yung glucose is, dapat yung glucose nasa intracellular fluid, di ba? No? Most of the glucose is in the intracellular fluid because nga it's the fuel of our body to function properly. So paano ano yung understanding mo nito, Sarah Cobello?
Good morning, Doc. Am I audible po?
Yes.
Okay, so with the diagram po, Doc, it shows the secondary active transport or the co-transport and the counter transport. So it shows here the glucose. So this is the sodium glucose co-transport system. So unlike the primary active transport po, Doc, it does not use ATP directly, but instead it uses the energy stored in the sodium concentration. So, which was created by the sodium potassium pump, which was discussed earlier. So, the sodium potassium pump, like discussed earlier, pumps out sodium out of the cell, so which makes the sodium concentration on the outside higher. So, with this presentation or illustration, because of the concentration, the sodium naturally wants to move back into the cell. But since this is a co-transporter, it has a two binding sites, which is one for the sodium and one for the glucose. So when the sodium moves back into the cell, at the same time, it pulls out the glucose into the cell also. So yeah, and then after is that they move in the same direction, so which is why it is called the co-transport system. So to summarize it, since the sodium wants to go back to the cell, it brings with it the glucose from the outside of the cell.
Okay, no, that's correct naman, no? So thank you for your understanding. So simply, from the word itself, co-transport, dapat sabay sila always, no? So kung mayroong sodium and glucose, they go together hand in hand. Yun lang naman yung concept ng secondary active transport. So pag merong sodium binding site and then glucose binding site, they go together going inside the cell to be transported inside. Okay? So parang it's kumbaga madali lang siya intindihin. Ito kasi is especially when you go to sa endocrinology and then sa renal physiology, mas meron pang complicated, kung gusto yun ng complicated na mga principles. Ito lang very simple principles pa lang tayo kasi we are just starting. And then meron din tayong sodium counter transport of calcium and hydrogen ion. Okay? So ano yung same concept lang naman, no? Yan. Sige, to explain further, let's call Francis Hakim Rendon, volunteer.
Yes, Doc. So,
Ah,
am I audible po?
yes, yes.
Yung na-observe ko po sa counter transport is that opposite lang po siya ng co-transport because ang direction ng co-transport is that both ions are transported in the same direction. But in the case of counter transport, for example, sodium would be transported inside the cell while calcium ions pagawas. So this happens because there is an excess of sodium ions sa labas ng cell due to the sodium ion gradient. So it will tend to diffuse back papunta sa papasok ng cell. So, in this case, Doc, the binding site of the sodium ions is in the exterior surface, while the binding site of the calcium ions is in the interior. So, this is achieved by the carrier proteins. So, yun, Doc, there will be a conformational change in the carrier protein and papasok yung sodium ions sa cell while yung calcium ions naman is palabas po ng cell.
Okay. So yung co-transport, sabay sila. Parang holding hands sila pasulod. Okay. Sa counter transport, parang magkaliwaan sila, no? So yan yung concept doon ng counter transport. Pag papasok ng sodium, palabas naman yung calcium. And then yung papasok yung sodium, palabas naman yung hydrogen ions. Counter, no? Kaliwaan. Okay? So, ayan, tapos tayo malatapos, no? Active transport to cellular sheets. Sige. Ito naman yung parang nasa last pages na ng membrane physiology. So, again, comprehend the picture and then tell us something about the picture. Yung tinawag ko kanina, si Francis Vince.
Hello, Doc. Am I audible?
Yes.
So here, this is the a picture of a lumen of the intestinal cell. Makita ang brush border, makita ang sodium sa gawas. So mahitabo is there is a diffusion. I think it's diffusion first of the sodium pasulod sa cell via this brush border, and then mag-active transport siya sa tunga sa spaces between cells. And while that is happening, osmosis is also happening, so it's following the sodium. Water is following the sodium. And then since there's another active transport, which is maggawas na siya through the connective tissue or via basement membrane. So it's basically what this image is showing is the interrelationship between diffusion, passive transport, and active transport.
Okay. Thank you, Vince. No? So itong picture na to is parang nasa ano na siya, no? Naka bigger picture na siya kasi kanina parang doon lang naka-zoom in lang tayo sa membrane lang mismo. Ito naman parang medyo nag-level up na tayo ngayon. Parang pumunta na tayo sa mga different organ system. But again, meron pa kayong different discussion this when you go the different system. Yung ano nito, like sa example sa book is from the gastrointestinal system, no? Sa tinain nato, no? Sa lumen, sa colon. So we have here our intestine, the lumen, yung sa loob, no? Ng hollow object, the brush border. So ito yung parang mga dito sa left, no? Giring-giring, mga rugged, mga rugae. So yan yung parang nasa loob ng intestine. And then yung basement membrane going to the inside of the cell. So para ma-transport yung mga substances inside the cell, so meron tayong mga active transport mechanism. Okay? Involved na doon yung osmosis, no? As we discussed kanina. Tapos, meron ding, aside from the osmosis, is the active transport mechanism din. And dito na nangyayari, no? Yung concepts kanina na mga different types of transport mechanism, hindi lang siya exclusive, no? Like for lumen, hindi siya exclusive lang sa only the facilitated diffusion or the primary active transport. Pwede din siya na magsabay-sabay din lahat, no? As what you can see here, like in the lumen of the GI tract na sabay-sabay lahat yung mga different transport mechanism. Kasi very complex yung ating GI tract. So, pwede magsabay yung active transport, pwede magsabay yung osmosis through a semi-permeable membrane for the nutrients to be transported inside the cell. Not just in the GI tract, pwede din siya sa renal tubules in the kidney, sa ating exocrine glands. No? What are the exocrine glands? Yung sa mga salivary glands, sa mandibular glands. Pwede din siya sa epithelium of our gallbladder, and in the central nervous system, sa colloid plexus and other membranes. Just illustration of the different genetic and autoimmune ion channel defects. No need to memorize this. Just nice to know. Dito lalabas sa exam. But kung meron tayong mga problems kasi na, like for example, meron tayong mga genetic problem on the certain gene on the chromosome 11, for example. So ang problem niya is hindi siya maka-transport properly ng potassium. Okay? So meron tayong mga diseases like a form of long QT syndrome, wherein there's a mutation of a certain gene on the chromosome 11. And then the problem niya is yung sa voltage-gated calcium channel. So yung, just to give you a background, yung long QT syndrome is parang electrical conductance, no, of the heart, the rhythm of the heart. There is an abnormality in the heart rhythm. Kung meron namang genetic mutation sa sodium channel, meron ding different diseases that can be seen there, no? Like your skeletal muscle sodium channel, cardiac muscle sodium channel na problem, wherein mutation of a different gene naman, yung SCN4A, yung SCN5A gene na chromosome 17. Pag meron namang problem sa calcium channel, so meron ding mga diseases like yung muscular dysgenesis, Lambert-Eaton syndrome, merong familial hemiplegic migraine, myasthenia gravis, no? Sa lahat ng diseases nito, yung like we can really see in the clinic, like now, no, meron kaming admitted patient with myasthenia gravis sa DRMC. So, the problem is the ligand-gated channel. There's a problem na ligand, yung sa nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. So the problem there is the autoimmune disease attacking the junctional nicotinic receptor. So in clinical scenario, the patient cannot properly move his, babae yun siya, so move her hands, difficulty in standing, because our muscles, no, our skeletal muscles, meron din siyang lots of channel. Meron din different muscle mga transport mechanism din, no, for it to contract, no. So kung may problem din sa pag-transport ng acetylcholine sa neuromuscular junction, hindi rin maka-properly contract yung muscle. And then we have also a disease called the Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, the cystic fibrosis, the Liddle syndrome. Yung defect naman niya is sa other channel, yung sa gap junctions din ng mga muscle. So yung ito lang. Ito, no? So the last slide. So, kung ano yung mga, so far ito lang yung mga reported na mga pathophysiologic mechanism, no? Kung mayroong mga diseases, kung magka-problema siya sa mga channel. Okay? Let's have a 5-minute break kasi meron akong i-show na video. I-prepare ko lang muna for you to have a better understanding of what we are talking this morning. Okay? Hello?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, break muna kayo ha. Prepare ko yung video. Okay, can you see this video, no? Pero wala pa na ako gi-on. So this is an example of the concepts of the membrane physiology. But ito is also part of our lecture, yung sa nerve action potential. So parang na-combine na lahat yung mga about active transport mechanism, the sodium-potassium pump, and in relation to the neuromuscular junction or how to conduct the nerve action potential. So it's a nice video. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes po, sir. Yes,
Okay,
Doc.
so play ko na ha.
Doc, wala pong sound yung video.
Hello? Yes?
Wala pong sound yung video, Doc.
Walang sound.
Yes po.
Wait lang. Di ba mayroon yung i-click, no? Para maano yung sound? Say, wait lang ha. I'll figure it out.
Parang may option to share computer audio po, Doc.
Sige. Check lang. Wait lang ha.
This is a neuron, which has four main parts. The dendrites
Yes
receive
po, Doc. Audible na
information.
po.
The cell body
Okay.
processes and integrates that information. The axon carries the information along long distances from one part of the neuron to another, and the axon terminal transmits the information to the next cell in the chain. A bundle of axons traveling together is called a nerve. Nerves can be very long as they often need to transmit information over long distances. As we just saw, the dendrites are the part of the neuron that receives incoming signals. Based on the strength of this incoming stimulation, the neuron must decide whether to pass that signal along or not. If the stimulation is strong enough, the signal is transmitted along the entire length of the axon in a phenomenon called an action potential. When this happens, we say the neuron fires. Transmission of a neuronal signal is entirely dependent on the movement of ions or charged particles. Various ions, including sodium, potassium, and chloride, are unequally distributed between the inside and the outside of the cell. The presence and movement of these ions is not only important when a neuron fires, but also at rest. To start, let's think about the positively charged sodium and potassium ions. When a neuron is not sending a signal, it is considered to be at rest. In a typical neuron in its resting state, the concentration of sodium ions is higher outside the cell than inside. The relative concentration of potassium ions is the opposite, with more ions inside the cell than outside. This ionic separation occurs right at the cell membrane and creates a chemical gradient across the membrane. Because ions are charged particles, we also need to consider their charge when thinking about their distribution across the membrane. At rest, there are more positively charged ions outside the cell relative to the inside. This creates a difference in charge across the membrane, which is called an electrical gradient. Together with the chemical gradient we already mentioned, we refer to this ionic imbalance as the electrochemical gradient. The difference in total charge inside and outside of the cell is called the membrane potential. At rest, when no signals are being transmitted, a neuronal membrane has a resting potential of approximately -70 millivolts. This means that the inside of the cell is approximately 70 millivolts less positive than the outside. Both the chemical and electrical gradients we just discussed contribute to establishing this potential. While the inside of the cell has a net negative charge and the outside of the cell has a net positive charge, the charges line up at the membrane and the bulk solution on either side is actually electrically neutral. The resting membrane potential is the point where the cell has achieved electrochemical equilibrium. This means that the concentration gradient and the electro gradient for each ion is equal and opposite. Ions cannot simply move across the membrane at will. Instead, they need a protein embedded in the membrane to facilitate their movement. Most ions cross the membrane through a structure called an ion channel. Ions move through channels by passive diffusion along their concentration gradient. Some ion channels are always open, but many require a signal to tell them to open or close. For example, voltage-gated channels only open when the membrane potential reaches a certain value. On the other hand, ligand-gated ion channels are triggered to open when they are bound by a specific molecule. Mechanically gated ion channels open in response to physical forces such as changes in length or changes in pressure. Most ion channels are selectively permeable, meaning that they only allow one or a small subset of ions to pass through. Voltage-gated ion channels, for example, typically only allow a single ion to cross the membrane when they open. This means that we need separate channels for each ion, i.e., voltage-gated sodium channels, as well as voltage-gated potassium channels. As ions move through a channel and cross from one side of the cell membrane to the other, they cause the membrane potential of the cell to move away from its resting potential. If the resulting change in membrane potential is small, we call this a graded potential. Graded potentials can vary in size, can be either positive or negative, are transient, and typically do not result from the opening of voltage-gated ion channels. When ion channels open and a graded potential occurs, the neuron moves quickly to reset its membrane potential to resting values. This is accomplished primarily by the use of the sodium-potassium pump, which uses the energy generated by ATP hydrolysis to actively transport ions across the membrane against their concentration gradient. In other words, sodium is transported to the outside of the cell, where its concentration is higher, and potassium is transported back into the cell, where its concentration is higher. One cycle of this pump transports 3 sodium ions outside the cell and brings 2 potassium ions inside the cell. This unbalanced charge transfer contributes to the separation of charge across the membrane and also to the ionic concentrations we see at rest, thus restoring the chemical and electrical gradients to their resting levels. Maintaining these ionic balance in neurons is so important that this process can account for 20 to 40% of the brain's total energy use. Only when the resting membrane potential and ion distributions are maintained at precise levels will the neuron be poised and ready to fire an action potential. When the outside stimulation is large enough to bring the membrane potential in the neuron body up from -70 millivolts to the threshold voltage of -55 millivolts or higher, this triggers an action potential at the axon hillock, which then travels down the axon. Voltage-gated sodium channels have 3 states: open, closed, and inactivated. At rest, the sodium channel is closed. Once the cell membrane reaches the threshold voltage, the channel changes to an open position and sodium rushes into the cell because of the electrochemical gradient. As positive sodium ions enter the cell, the membrane potential becomes less negative and more positive as it approaches 0 millivolts. This is called depolarization. Eventually, the voltage gradient goes to 0 and beyond 0, up to a positive 30 millivolts. This is called an overshoot. As the membrane potential becomes positive, the sodium channel inactivation gate shuts, making the channel inactivated. This stops the flow of sodium ions into the cell. The change in membrane potential also opens the voltage-gated potassium channels, though they open and close more slowly. Because of the potassium electrochemical gradient, potassium ions flow out of the cell, making it less positive and eventually negative. This process is called repolarization. Because the potassium channels are a little slow to close, for a brief period, the membrane potential is hyperpolarized. It's more negative than the resting potential. During hyperpolarization, the potassium channels close. Throughout all this, the sodium-potassium pump is still working. The pump restores the chemical gradients by putting the sodium and potassium back in place. And the pump reestablishes the potential gradient by moving more sodium ions out than potassium ions in. This returns the membrane potential back to its resting potential. During repolarization, the inactivated sodium channels won't respond to any stimulus at all. During this time, the neuron is in its absolute refractory period, the period of time when a nerve cannot fire another action potential no matter how strongly it's stimulated. The absolute refractory period prevents action potentials from happening again too quickly and prevents the action potential from traveling backwards along the axon. During hyperpolarization, the sodium channels are closed and the inactivation gate opens. There is no change in sodium flow, but now they could be opened again. This is called the relative refractory period, because while the sodium channels could open, it would take a larger than usual stimulus to reach threshold. because the cell is hyperpolarized due to the potassium still leaving the cell. The amplitude of the action potential for a particular neuron, that is, the maximum voltage in one neuron during an action potential, never changes. An action potential doesn't get bigger with a bigger stimulus. It's all or nothing. It either happens or it doesn't happen. What can change is the frequency of the action potential. A neuron might fire many more times per second in response to, say, an intense pain, and less frequently in response to a gentle breeze. Some axons transmit action potentials faster than others. One variable that increases conduction velocity is the presence of myelin sheaths around axons. Myelin speeds up transmission through a process called saltatory conduction, in which the action potential signal appears to jump along the part of the axon covered by the sheath. In the peripheral nervous system, the sheaths are formed from glial cells known as Schwann cells. There are small gaps between Schwann cells called the nodes of Ranvier. The action potential appears to jump from node to node, speeding the transmission. In the central nervous system, the sheaths are made by cells known as oligodendrocytes. To review, with no stimulus, the membrane is at its resting potential. A small stimulus causes a graded potential, and a stimulus above the threshold creates an action potential and the neuron fires.
Okay. So that's a nice video presentation of the topics that we have discussed this morning. So mas ma-appreciate natin yung video kasi merong mga animation. And kasi pag binasa lang natin sa textbook, parang vague or hindi masyado natin ma-imagine yung concepts like for example, pag one time lang natin nabasa. So, importante rin natin na basahin and then correlate that to a video or mga other sources of information so that we can have a grasp of the topics that we are reading. This one is sa axon lang siya, or sa action potential sa nerve, sa neuron. So iba din yung mangyayari pag meron ding mga membrane physiology in terms sa skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle contraction. No? So iba din yung mga processes din involved. But yung basic knowledge natin on the lipid bilayer, the sodium potassium pump and sodium potassium calcium pump is still the same, no? Same concepts lang talaga, no? So my suggestion is that you read again the book and then listen again to the video, then take notes, no? Para ma-correlate nyo yung reading nyo sa video kasi animated na siya, mas maganda siya. And then it's up from a reliable source. And then if hindi nyo pa rin maintindihan, you have to, meron pa namang ibang resources like sa Boron, okay? Or you can just ask. So sige, let's hear reactions. from siguro mga 3 students na lang no, before we'll end this topic. On the video presentation, ano yung first na notice nyo and then how will you relate that to your readings? Let's call on Nesel Paglinawan.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
What I learned about the video, Doc, is that all of those transport system that was lectured in the chapter 4 is needed siya, Doc, for the action potential to happen, like for example like the firing of neurons, Doc. So I think that's all, Doc, that I observed about the video.
Okay, that's it. Another one from sino pa ba? Lorenzo Ezequiel.
Hello, Doc. Good morning
Oo.
po. So, ang aking reaction lang po, Doc, no, is how our body is very amazing po, no, kasi since the sodium goes outside the cell, na 3 sodiums goes outside the cell and 2 potassium goes inside the cell, so it avoids swelling of our cells. So the maintenance of ionic gradient po is very well tawag niyan, maintained po.
Okay, thank you, Lorenzo. And last reaction from CT Padoran.
Ay, good morning po, Doc.
Morning.
What I can say about the video po is that there's a lot going on inside our body, especially in the neuron, and that because of these processes, especially in the action potential, we have the capability to feel pain, and if there's a abnormality or a problem of the neuron firing, it can cause certain diseases, for instance, seizure po, Doc. That's why I need to learn more about this.
Okay, thank you, Sid. Are you related to Dr. Joel Padoran?
Yes po. Father na ko siya po.
Father. Okay, okay. Sige. Sige. So, okay. So yung thank you no for your reaction. So if to give my din sa video. So anything happens for a reason, di ba? No? Like in the neuron action potential, hindi naman siya mangyayari kung walang, ano yung pinaka-importante na note natin doon? Kung walang signal, no? So the action potential will not proceed without any signal, di ba? So meron tayong mechanical signal, chemical signal, voltage, or changes in temperature, vibration, no? Changes in the chemical composition. So anything happens for a reason, anything happens because of a signal or a stimulus. And then when there's already a stimulus, so our body reacts to that stimulus. Okay? Then doon na nangyayari yung mga physiological concepts natin on the different happenings in our membrane and the transport of the different ions towards our body. And then yung pagkandak naman ng transmission to the nerve is because of the stimulus. So yung mga steps na nangyayari so that the patient can feel that. Yung nito, yung clinical correlation nito is that when we have a stimulus, no? Like for pain, ito yung pinaka example natin doon sa video. So kung meron tayong pain, for example, natusok ako dito ng needle. Okay? So once natusok, na-punctured ako dito ng needle sa hand ko, di ba? Yan, no? So try to pinch or kurutin nyo yung skin nyo. Okay? So kurutin nyo now, no? So try to experience. Di ba ang bilis lang ng transport ng pain? Pero ilang seconds lang. Parang wala lang 1 seconds, no? Parang ilan ba? Milliseconds. So yan, during the time that we pinch ourselves, so meron ng activation of our membrane, meron ng action potential na nangyayari just by pinching this one. So yan, because the pain na feel natin, so there's already the action potential. So pag ipa-explain sa atin anong nangyayari when we pinch our hands, why we feel the pain. So ito na yung ano natin, i-explain. Because of the pressure, because of the pinching of our stratus, or the skin, no, of our the skin natin. So after that, it transmits signals. Before transmitting the signals to our brain, so it transmits signals to our pain receptors. So our pain receptors in our skin, meron din siyang sariling cells, no? So it's also enclosed in a cell. So meron din siyang lipid bilayer. So ang pag-transmit ng mga pain stimuli to the pain receptors, from pain receptors to our brainstem and brainstem to our cerebellum, which is aided by the transport mechanism of the different ions in our body. So yan yung clinical correlation natin sa topic na to, no? So kung titingnan natin, if you dissect it, yun na yung nilecture natin this morning. So ang dami pa nito, no? Ang dami pang clinical correlation kung paano natin ma-explain yung concept on membrane physiology, membrane potential and action potential. Yun naman sa mga reflexes, no? For example, when you're cooking, no, your lunch, no, today, and then hindi nyo namalayan na mainit pala yung kaldero. So what is the normal reaction of your hand, or what's your normal reaction pag nakagunit ka sa kaldero na init? When you are preparing your rice, cooking your rice. Syempre, when you hold it, syempre mabitawan mo yung kaldero, di ba? So there is already an action potential there, no? So from the time that you hold or handle the rice cooker na mainit, nabitawan mo siya. So pag touch pa lang ng kaldero doon, pag touch ng hand sa kaldero na mainit, meron ng stimulus. So kung our nerdy brain will explain the concept of our action potential happening already, no? So from the time na you hold the hot pot, so at sa back of your mind, naisip na, mayroon palang yung sodium pala pumasok sa inside the cell, and then the potassium goes outside, and then the charges from -55 nagiging positive, no? So ganun yung explanation doon pag ipasagot kayo sa exam. What happens when you hold a hot pot and explain the concept of membrane physiology? So yun na yung answer mo doon, no? And then it goes to the myelin sheath, and then the myelin sheath transports the ions to the axon hillock and conducted the saltatory conduction and goes to the brain. That's why it's an all or none, di ba? All or none mechanism kasi it happens or mahitabo jud siya ba, no? Dili siya pwede na dili mahitabo unless merong mga abnormalities. Like for example, kung init siya, our tendency is all or none, kung bitawan mo ba or hindi. So syempre, we have a normal physiologic process, mabitawan dyan nato siya. But kung meron mga abnormalities, mga medical condition, like you have problem in your nerve conduction, so, or first of all, mga diabetic neuropathy, kung magunita din mong hot pot, then naki-problem sa meron ka ng nerve damage, so yun na, hindi mo na siya mabitawan. Mapasok, masama din mong kamot. But in a normal functioning healthy individual, or non-mechanism, syempre mong bitawan, no? That's the application of that sa membrane potential and action potential. Ano pa ba? Ano pang last example of how will you apply this topic to our daily lives? Let's call one na lang, no? Then we will close this lecture. Si Polinar, Aljane May. So
Good
how will
morning
you
po.
apply this in our daily lives? Yung topic on membrane physiology, action potential, membrane potential.
Similar in a way, Yapon Doc. I could relate it to the urgency. When our brain signals the urgency when a certain thing happen, like what you have said, Doc, na if we feel pain or anything that have been felt by us, Doc, obviously there is a potential that would occur in which would eventually na tayo din, Doc, mag-enact din for that, Doc.
No, okay. So yung pinaka-latest natin na, thank you Aljana. So kung may lindol, magnitude 7, what will you do? If may lindol na, anong mangyayari sa atin ngayon?
For example din, Doc, it was mentioned also by Doc Sales, I think, na, di ba, it was parang nalagay na sa mind natin na if there is like linog po, Doc, we have to duck. So usually, that is our first reaction. If nailinog, usually mudoko dayon ta. So that is also an example because it was initiated na sa tong brain na mo na siya ang action towards that reaction, kumbaga, towards that event po.
Yes, thank you, no? Tama, no? So before we digest the information na kailangan mag-duck, so kailangan natin ng stimulus. So the stimulus there is the vibration, no? So linog. So since hindi naman tayo normally nagkakaroon ng sense of vibration, di ba? So pag may lindol, this is a normal phenomenon. So ma-sense ng body na, nag-vibrate, dili man ni normal na happening na nag-vibrate ang isa katao. So mag-send siya signal sa brain. But before niya ma-transmit yung signal sa brain, which is in the cerebellum, kasi yan yung part ng brain na nag-control ng motion and proprioception, kailangan na functioning din natin yung membrane physiology natin. So yung ano ba yung part ng katawan natin that controls the motion, 'di ba? In our ears, 'di ba? Sa cochlear natin na nandun yung mga motion sensors natin. So pag yung membrane potential, action potential din natin sa skin na proprioception involved din siya, like our Pacinian corpuscles. So ma-sense niya na merong changes in the motion. So it will be activated, no? Yung term na activation of our motion proprioceptors. And then during that time, magkaroon ng mga different changes na in the voltage, in the charges of the ions, changes in the structure or conformational changes in the membrane. So yun na yung application nito ng topic natin ngayon, no? Kasi it is still all or none, hindi naman kung maglindol magtanga lang ta, so kailangan din natin mag-response. And through that process there is the activation of our action potential of our nerve going to the signals to the brain of what to do if there is a stimulus or a scenario. So yan. So kung ipa-explain kayo what happened during a certain reaction or certain stimulus, so ito na yun siya. Ito na yung academic way of explaining, no? Of kung merong magtanong sa inyo, ano pala yung mga medical changes that happens during a certain stimulus. So ito na siya. But yun lang, sa level natin, medyo start pa lang man ta, second, third week pa lang. So yung understanding natin medyo limited pa siya. But when you go like sa pharmacology, importante din itong malaman, di ba? Kasi yung sa mga certain drugs, like mga hypertensive drugs, di ba? Lahat ng gamot, no? Especially mga neuro drugs, kailangan din yung concepts on the membrane physiology. Kasi paano ma-transport yung drug to the liver, to the brain, to the kidney. So very exciting yung topic na to, and It's a foundational subject. That's why you have to really comprehend and not really memorize, but to comprehend this topic. Kasi until magiging doctors na kayo, no, ito pa rin yung always na ma-encounter nyo in the real patient experience or scenario. Okay, so it's already 9:45. I think we will call it a day. And then yung ano ko lang is next week, no? Kasi wala ako. I'll just coordinate with Ma'am Shade kung pwede ako magpa-swap ng schedule to other lecturer. Kasi may atinan ako na convention for next week. Okay? Sige. Yun lang, unless you have concern. Yung ano pala, no? Yung sa biostat, i-send ko pa ulit dito sa group chat sa biostatistics. Kasi wala muna tayong quiz kasi naka-oral recitation naman sa next meeting. Ganun pa rin, no? Para we will humanize the interaction, kumbaga. Sige. Yes, Kim?
Doc, may 3 absent pa rin po kami kasi yung sa graduation.
Graduation.
Yes po.
Sige.
I-share ko
I-note
na
na-
lang din po sa iyo yung forms ng FISHO para makita niyo po.
Yung ano pala, yung form na sinend mo, mag-fill up ko dito.
Dili na, Doc. Bale, for copy, for reference niyo lang po yun.
Okay, oo. Pero okay naman ang screenshot, no? Sa kwan.
Ang screenshot, Doc, kay dili pa to kompleto kaganiya kay nagasulod pa man ang mga people ato na time. Pwede ko mag-screenshot ulit, Doc.
Sige. Okay, please turn on your cameras.
Okay, guys, smile. Doon ni siya ka-panel, so smile lang mo. 1, 2, 3. Next panel. Wait lang. 1, 2, 3. Okay, okay na po, Doc.
Okay, thank you. Sige. Update lang ako sa group chat.
Sige po, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you,
Thank
Doc.
you.
Doc.
Thank you, Doc.